Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news this Saturday morning with the Premier League up in full swing. You can join me on That's Football at 12:30 for Liverpool against Fulham. Enjoyed Arsenal last night. We'll talk about the context of Arsenal. It's not an Arsenal channel, but I do think it's a stark reminder of how if you're prepared for a start of a season, you can go and get 3 points. Fortunately, we're at home tomorrow. I hope we do get 3 points, but it's a real reality bite that we're going into the season with no forward line really and no midfield. I don't know why that's acceptable for a club like Manchester United, but what can we do? What can we do as a fan base? What can we do? We seem, I get tired about it as much as you do. What can we do? I put a big, massive question mark next to it. This club is being run into the ground. It's incompetent. I'm not saying the people at the club don't care and they're not trying, but for some reason, every year things seem to get worse at that football club, and to be honest with you, I'm past being it's okay. Like, incompetence is not okay at a club like Manchester United when other clubs are doing well. And the reality is we can disagree as fans, but the club is being run into the ground. There is an owner, they are called the Glazers, and it's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment, and we are going into yet another season on pure hope. There is no belief, it is pure hope. Nobody's putting us in the top 4. We are hoping, and when you hope, reality tends to bite. But there you go. Let's fly straight into some news this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. There's a lot about Frenkie de Jong, which is why we've gone with the headline, Ten Hag's de Jong transfer plea. Help me, because to be honest with you, I could just go either way with this, and I think I'm just going to stay quite consistent. I suppose this was the one that worried me the most. This is coming in from Matt Law. You might not know who he is, but he's a very good journalist around Chelsea. Now, he's saying that Chelsea believe Frenkie de Jong will join them over Manchester United and talks have been held. That's a concern. I can't deny that that is not a concern. Who that's coming from, and we're getting more and more stories coming in from Chelsea's side of things. We know that Chelsea are in talks for de Jong. I don't know. I don't know where that goes. But then this is just how it works, because you get that from Matt Law. And then you get this from James Robson, who's been very good this summer. A lot of what James Robson was saying 6 weeks ago was very similar to the stuff we were being told. So Man United remain encouraged that de Jong will sign before the deadline day. So, I mean, no wonder fans are conflicted and don't know what to think, because you've got good Chelsea journalists saying Chelsea think he's going to go to them. And then you've got good sources close to United saying that United are still confident that they will get him as well. What I would say and what I know is that I still remain very... look, I could easily knock it down from 90%. I've said that before. I think percentages are pointless at this point, because it's disrespectful to say that Chelsea aren't in the race and that Chelsea couldn't win the race. So I think percentages are out the window. But I still remain confident that United will get the deal done. What I would admit is that there are noises, because... it's not like you sit on your arse for a week when there's all this is going on. You're speaking to people, you're speaking to journalists, you're speaking to people in the know. Nobody's really giving anything away. But what I have heard a couple of times over the last few days is that United won't overpay. Now, I don't like that statement at all, because effectively we could get a situation where Chelsea sign de Jong and Man United try and make the excuse that they walked away because it was too expensive. Which I'm going to say right here, right now, and some people might disagree with me, there is never a scenario where United overpay for Frenkie de Jong. It's impossible. We can't overpay for him. Because we are getting him under value. £70 million is the deal we've agreed. That's cheap for Frenkie de Jong. I'm sorry, it is. I don't care what anybody says. He's a 25-year-old centre midfielder. There's not many like him. He is top class. He's one of the best in Europe, and we're getting him for 70 million quid. West Ham want over 120 for Declan Rice. If you wanted Kimmich, you're going over 100 million quid. We are getting him for a very, very good price. So I do not believe for 1 minute that Manchester United are going to get in a situation where they'd overpay. Now, what they might try and spin, if Chelsea do get de Jong, what they might try and do is this. They might say, well, we offered 70, Chelsea offered 85. We've always said we won't overpay. And Chelsea might offer 85 because they might give the 70 and the 15 that pays off de Jong. So, but even at 85, I wouldn't do the deal. I never would have done this deal. But it's what Ten Hag wants, and I think we have to try and get it done. even if Chelsea paid 90 million for De Jong, it's not too expensive. But I think if we didn't get De Jong, I think United will try and go down that line, and I think it will be met by complete and utter anger, because £90 million for Frenkie de Jong is probably his value in a fair market. He's going cheaper because Barcelona need to sell. Do you think if we get De Jong and Ten Hag implements his pile, we can get top 4? Taj, no, I don't actually. That's a very good question. I think even if we get De Jong, we're not getting top 4. Jules, welcome to Members Club. Erik Ten Hag expected to work with what he's got, and while he may get the best out of youth and some of our players, others will remain rotten to the core. Erik Ten Hag needs the club to get deals done pronto, says DC World. How are you, Mark? Says Juskin. Every transfer window destroys more and more the reputation of the club. We're so bad for a club owned by businessmen, says Juskin. Thank you very much there. And also we've had a super chat coming in from Ray, who says, other Pedro situations in place. I am now worried, says Ray. Well, I think there's more than enough reason to be concerned this morning. I mean, look, Gerard Romero was the person who started this all off in May. A lot of people don't want to listen to him now. I mean, but he's saying Frenkie de Jong to Chelsea is hot. But then there was a bit of clarity on that, where basically they were saying that was more of an opinion. Here we go. This was it. In relation to Frenkie de Jong, nothing is 100% yet. Better to categorise it all as a feeling. That's from Gerard Romero as well. So, look, I think it's difficult. It's a news show, so you bring the news. I can't give you the categoric answer, and there is no categoric answer. You've got James Robson, Athletic, Manchester Evening News, all in the last few days and hours saying that United remain confident. I remain confident, but then you've got Chelsea journalists saying that Chelsea are confident, and you've got Barcelona outlets saying that Chelsea are confident. So it's not what I think we all have to concede is that where we were a month ago, 3 weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago, it was whether De Jong would leave Barcelona to come to United. Now it's whether De Jong will leave Barcelona to go to Chelsea or Man United. So we're in a worse situation because now there's another club in. I think we have to take on board that. Chetan, thank you very much and welcome to the Members Club. If we don't get Frenkie de Jong, I think that's a very, very fair conversation to have. Morning, Mark. So tired of this de Jong crap, says Mikael. Look, the cold, harsh fact is, if we don't get de Jong and he signs for Chelsea next week, what are we going to do? We'll have probably beat Brighton at the weekend. There'll be a certain section of the fan base that's like, well, we've won without de Jong, we can do it. That's just human nature. There'll be a certain section of the fan base is like, you're having a laugh, we're not going to do anything this year. The transfer window will close and reality will bite. And United fans will fight amongst themselves. I've got no faith in Man United fans doing anything that needs to be done to change the way that this football club is going. I love Man United fans. I think it's a shame that there's so much arguments between us. But we will never make any change at this football club. And the Glazers know it. They know it. I've had conversations with people in Manchester United over the years, and they absolutely know, the Glazers absolutely know that they're comfortable as they've ever been, because Man United's fan base is incapable of getting them out. And they know that. They know that any storm, whether it's Glazers out in a transfer window or whether it's Glazers out because of the Super League, they know there's a storm to weather, but they'll get through it. I mean, look, the Super League was probably the moment where we should have got them out. They went behind the fan base's back and tried to take us out of a tournament that is symbolic to this football club. They wanted to take us out of the European Cup. How can owners that wanted to take us out of the European Cup still be here a year later? Man United is the European Cup. Sir Matt Busby was the trail setter in relation to the European Cup. That's where the Busby Babes were playing in when we had the tragedy. That's where that 10-year gap after the tragedy to winning the first European Cup in '68 was a journey. This club is intrinsically linked with the European Cup. Our owners tried to take us out of it, and they're still in charge. If you can survive that, you can survive anything. And what did they do? Joel Glazer did a Zoom call with a fan forum. I mean, it's just, they're a laugh. They're an absolute joke, and they will survive anything. So, look, bringing it back to the now, if we don't sign De Jong, what's actually going to happen? You're going to get angry, I'm going to get angry, and eventually we'll just carry on like we normally do. Nothing's going to change. I mean, I remember saying a couple of years ago, if we don't get Sancho, this board will never survive because it's so embarrassing. They didn't get Sancho. all right, they got him a year later, but they didn't get Sancho and they still survived. They will ride anything out, and we will get angry and we will get frustrated and we will say it's not enough, and we will say enough is enough, and there'll be protests and there'll be anger, and then people will start arguing with each other and the Glazers will just get away with it. So I really hope we do get De Jong, and I'm still confident that we will, but let's not pretend if we don't get De Jong and we don't sign anybody else that the Glazers are gone. They've survived a lot and they'll keep surviving, and this is why the club's in the mess it is. And if you don't think Man United's in a mess, tell me why nobody, whether it's a pundit or a fan, is putting us in the top 4 before a ball's been kicked. That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed by United at the moment. Nobody is putting us in the top 4 and everyone's fine with it. You know, I was listening to Sky, I've listened to other outlets. They're not putting Man United in the top 4 and nobody's going mad about it. It's just where we are now. Only thing that can cheer me up now, and that's if Scott and Maguire don't start the game. Well, they will, Darren, so don't worry about that. Shettown, we've done that. Opinions on Neville saying Todd Bowley and Chelsea have no idea what they're doing and they're just playing Football Manager. A bit harsh if you ask me. Well, Gary did great at Valencia, didn't he? Greetings, Mark from California. I'm going to come back on Neville, actually, because of what he said about Ronaldo, because I think he's wrong on that as well. Greetings, Mark from California. Today is my birthday. Love your show, community, and Man United, even if they stress me out. Happy birthday to Miguel. Welcome to the Members Club, Ali. Only thing that can chip, we've done that from Darren. Gary said we've done that one as well from Connor. Right, okay, so look, in summary, Chelsea are well in the race for Frenkie de Jong. Man United believe they're still in the race for Frenkie de Jong. I think we'll get Frenkie de Jong still. I know people won't like me saying that, but it's my opinion. I still think we're going to get him. But I completely respect the fact that Chelsea are in this race and they've got every right to be confident to beat us because we're incompetent ourselves. But what I would say is that I can more than honestly expect United to lose out on this deal and then say we didn't want to overpay. Just be wary of that. Be wary of that excuse. Chelsea come in and pay £85 million for De Jong and United go, yeah, we're not going to overpay. But remember, De Jong is worth about 90 million in a fair market. He's cheap because of Barcelona. Do not fall for that. If United walk away from this deal because he's too expensive, don't fall for it, because 70 million for De Jong is a bargain. It's because Barcelona need to sell and they don't want him anymore. His actual value in the market for a 25-year-old top-class midfielder is about 100 million pounds, 100 million euros. So if Chelsea go and spend 85 million pounds on him, they're still getting a good deal. They're going to spend 80 million on Fofana. Only thing that I've done that one as well. Okay, so we've done that as well. Okay, so one thing I do want to just say as well, if we don't get De Jong, what do? We panic. We panic. I don't know what we're going to do. But Bobby's laughing at De Jong being 90 million. I love these sort of conversations, Bobby. Let's have the conversation. Right, let's do it with the chat. What's De Jong's value in the real market? Cucurella's just gone for £55 million. He's a left-back from Brighton. Frenkie de Jong is 25 and he's one of the best midfielders in Europe. His value is easily 90 million quid. West Ham won't sell Declan Rice for 120 million. De Jong shits all over Declan Rice. And I like Declan Rice. So it's not ridiculous to say his value is 90 million. It's certainly way more than 70. So what are we arguing about, Bobby? We're arguing about single figure digit millions, and you're laughing at it. Like you need to actually educate yourself on the transfer market and what people are going for this summer. If Fofana's going for 75 million, De Jong's worth 90 easy. Easy. Remember when we didn't spend in January and were told it would be towards a summer chest? Lies, Dave. Live. Not you, Dave. But it's lies from the club. Torrin, thank you very much. Most people are saying he's worth about 100 million. If Rice is 120, Frankie's 150. I mean, you know, to be fair, a transfer fee is based on the club that is selling's appetite to sell. Declan Rice is 120 million because West Ham don't want to sell. Jack Grealish went for 100 million pounds. De Jong's twice the player he is, but Villa didn't want to sell, so you overpay. Tillemans is probably worth more than 35, but he's got 1 year left on his deal, so prices will always be dictated to like that. But I think it's important to just quickly discuss before we speak about a few other things. Is there an alternative to Frenkie de Jong? I think Man United would have to go and buy somebody else if they don't get de Jong, but it's too late. I listened to a lot of you, and when you were saying, and when I say you, not all of you, but some of you did, when I'm reading the chat back in early June, some of you are saying we shouldn't be going for De Jong. This is just getting embarrassing, even in early June. The scary thing is, it's been a very consistent transfer with De Jong. Even from late May, people have been saying we should walk away. It's embarrassing. He doesn't want to come. He hates Manchester. La la la. This has been going on for 2 months. There's no development on De Jong at all. He doesn't want to be at Man United. That's the story. So many of you were saying in early June we should back away and go after other options. That was the time to do it. We're approaching mid-August. Now is not the time to walk away from De Jong and get an alternative, because Ruben Neves is captaining Wolves today. They will want 70 million quid. They don't need to sell. They don't want to sell. It's 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the start of the close of the transfer window. Season started. So if we don't get De Jong, I think we will do something desperate. I mean, I would hope we do something desperate. You can't go into a full Premier League season and Europa League season with Fred, McTominay and Donny. I mean, I know Eriksen can do it, but he's not defensive-minded. I don't think Donny can do it that well, but he could do it. All right, Garner, maybe. But it's not the plan. That's not the plan, and it can't be the plan. So they'd have to do something desperate. I mean, for me, I would have loved Konrad Laimer from Leipzig. Absolutely loved that deal. I don't know why we didn't do that deal. But it would be desperate if we did it now. Tielemans would be desperate if we did it now. Sangari would be desperate if we did it now, because we haven't done it now. We've been all in on De Jong. So, and United terrify me in doing deals. There's 3.5 weeks till the transfer window closes. We can't do deals in that time unless they're desperate. Hi Mark Rice, 120 million. Maguire 80 million. Frankie is at least 120, says Daz. I'm getting married tomorrow, says Andrew. Wish me luck. I'm going to ignore the United matches. I don't want the day ruined. I think we'll win tomorrow, Andrew, and congratulations to you and your other half. Zane says, if De Jong is 90, Odegaard is 120. It's got nothing to do with Arsenal, Zane. Take your 3 points and shut up. Neville saying he's disappointed with Ronaldo and demands him to give interviews to Sky after Brighton game. Where was his anger with Kane last summer? Mejak, I absolutely want to talk about this, so let me just talk about it now. We'll see what happens with De Jong. Obviously, it's going to run and run. So you're right. I got sent something last night that Gary Neville had said that he's disappointed in Ronaldo and he wants him to come out and speak publicly about the issue. I mean, the contradiction and hypocrisy is hilarious. It's not even been a year, Gary, since you were living up Harry Kane's arse, saying that he's right to want to leave Spurs, a club that he's been at since he was a kid, that he's the captain of. And yet Ronaldo should almost come out and publicly apologise because Gary says he should. You're being a hypocrite, Gary. That's what you're being. And on top of that, you sat there on Sky last night saying that United's summer transfer window is not good enough and you've not put United in the top 4, and yet you want Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest players that's ever played the game, in probably one of his last seasons of playing the game at the top level, you want him to sit there and be happy at Man United when you're saying you're not happy, when you're putting us outside the top 4. It's the contradiction. Like, I've always been very consistent on Ronaldo, and I don't really want to talk about Ronaldo, suffice to say this. I completely understand why he wants to leave. I don't like it, but I know he wants to leave. What does Gary want? What does Gary and every other United fan want Ronaldo to publicly come out and say? I want to leave Manchester United because they're not ambitious. Like, that's why he wants to leave. Why do you need it publicly? It's almost like they're goading him to come out and say he wants to stay, but I know he doesn't want to stay. And I think he's right. Like, what does he publicly need to come out and do? He wants to leave United because there's no ambition. We've just spent 20 minutes talking about how there's no ambition. You know, do you want a stamp on that, Gary? You know, do you want a flake in it? What more do you want? Like, he doesn't want to stay because the club is a mess. And you're sat there saying the club's a mess, we're not going to get top 4, they've not done enough business. But in the next breath, he's saying, well, I'm disappointed with Ronaldo not coming out and saying that he wants to stay. I mean, have you listened to yourself? You've literally just said we're not going to get top 4 and it's not a very good window for United and they've not supported the manager. And Ronaldo sat there, who likes Ten Hag, saying, you've not supported the manager, you're not showing any ambition, I don't want to waste another year here fighting for 5th. I don't get that mentality of Ronaldo needs to publicly come out and say what. He's only going to come out and publicly tell you what is out there anyway, that he doesn't want to be here because there's no ambition. I And it's completely contradictory to what was being said about Harry Kane last year, which makes you think, is it the old British passport thing again? I don't know. I don't get it. But I don't think Ronaldo needs to come out and do anything. He wants to leave. I know he wants to leave. You know he wants to leave. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. But ultimately, are United showing any ambition? I watched Arsenal last night and they defended really, really well. For 15 minutes, they looked like they were going to win the game 3 or 4-0. They've gone to Palace, a decent side. They've beat them 2-0. They've got 3 points. They're going to buy more players this summer. They're showing stability, chemistry, and progression. We're starting tomorrow. We might beat Brighton 4-0, but we won't show stability because the squad's too weak. We're not going to show progression because the squad's too weak. Spurs play today. Liverpool play today. Chelsea play today. I expect them all to win, and I expect them all to show more chemistry and vision than we do because they've got a bench. They've got a vision. At the moment, again, I keep saying it, Ten Hag, I just don't feel he's been supported properly in this transfer window. Eric Ten Hag said yesterday at the press conference he only wants the right players, not signing players just for the sake of it, says David. Yep. This should be a watershed moment for the Glazers. Can't attract Galacticos and make us a franchise if the club isn't performing. Dreams can't be bought, says Torrin. It's time for the Glazers to go, says Twitch. It was time for them to go 15 years ago. I think it's abysmal that United's budget is 120 million while a broke Barcelona spent 160. Shows the lack of ambition, says you. What do you think we as fans need to do to get rid of the Glazers? What will it take for them all to sell the club, says Akshay. I know. Neville just wants the scoop for his own ego, says Rory C. I know what United fans need to do to get rid of the Glazers. Most United fans know what we need to do to get rid of the Glazers. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Everybody needs to realise that everybody supports Man United and we can all disagree on whether we like Ronaldo, whether we like Maguire, whether we like McTominay, whether we like Bruno. That's just supporting a football club. So many United fans fall out with each other because somebody doesn't like Maguire or someone doesn't like Ronaldo. Ridiculous. We all need to be on the same page that we want the best for United, because I've never met a United fan who doesn't want the best for United. Everyone needs to be on the same page as one. And then we need to work as one collectively so that when we do things, everybody does it. Because if you're going to boycott a sponsor, everybody needs to do it. If you're not going to buy a shirt, everybody needs to do it. If you're going to leave on the 70th minute, everybody needs to do it. If you're going to protest for the first 17 minutes, everybody needs to do it. So that's how you get rid of the Glazers, and it would happen in weeks. I've seen other clubs do it in Europe. I've seen Liverpool do something similar. You can make a big impact, but everybody has to do it at the same time, and that will never happen because these groups that try and make these things happen, they exclude other groups. Or they don't get on with other groups. So you'll never get everybody together. So that's why it won't work. You also need a viable buyer. That's my key thing. I've always said you've got to have a viable buyer. If you've got a viable buyer, then everyone can get behind that buyer and oost the Glazers. But it's not easy to do, and it would take time, but we'll never do it. Mark, the Pratt Neville, the Glazers listen to him, says Mikael Roach. United's season should not be beholden to Frenkie de Jong's issue with Barcelona. It's not like it's going to work because the car you want to buy has not been fixed by its owner, says Ash G. Well, you make a great point, Ash. I said this on last night's show. Even if we get Frenkie de Jong, I don't think it solves our problems. It's just he's one man at the end of the day. What if everyone man marks him? What if he gets injured? What if he doesn't want to be here and doesn't play well? You know, it's a massive risk, even if we get him. When Barcelona was facing an economical issue and spent around 150 million, and what United were destroyed last year by almost everyone, and we spent 60 million, says Mohit. Neville saying Ronaldo should stay and be an example for the young lads. What's in it for Ronaldo with no ambition? Yet Kane was right to leave Spurs, says Majak. We need to leave de Jong in the past and focus on getting another decent midfielder. Our first game is tomorrow and we're not prepared, says TJ. I don't disagree with you, TJ. I think United maybe should have moved away from de Jong, but don't you agree that it's too late now? I think it's too late for United to go and get somebody else because I don't think they're planning to get anybody else. So how do you make that happen? I don't know. There's a tweet coming in from managing Barca that, and look, this is what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know how reliable this is, but it's coming in saying that Frenkie de Jong has ruled out joining Manchester United. But it's just how reliable that source is. Let's not forget. And look, you know, there'll be people out there that want to jump on that and say it's over and everything like that. But it's not the first time in the last 3 months we've been told that he hates Manchester. He's not going to join Manchester United. He's not going to leave Barcelona for Manchester United. We've heard it time and time again. Doesn't mean that that won't happen, but what I will say is this. My eyes are wide open to the fact that he might not join United. If he doesn't join Man United, how do you even start to dissect this? And I really hope it does get dissected properly. The media need to dissect it, and everybody else needs to dissect it. How do you dissect Man United missing out on Frenkie de Jong? They've let it be known since the middle of May that this was their priority signing. We've heard that they're confident they're going to get him. They're not going to get rushed. This is their priority signing. Once de Jong's done, they'll look at other targets for other positions. Here we are, August the 6th. He might not join United. This will go down as Dumb and Dumber 3. Woodward and Arnold tripped to Barcelona and they came back with a stick of rock. They didn't come back with Frenkie de Jong. It's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment if they don't get him. And there is no amount of spin. They will try. Bloody hell, United employ people to spin stuff. We know that. They employ people to make players popular. They study the graphs online. They'll try. But I'm not even throwing an opinion on this. How do Man United come out of this debacle if they don't get de Jong and look anywhere near competent? They can't. There's nothing they can do. There's no way. They can't come out and say, we tried, but we didn't get him. Because everyone said at the start, why are you trying to do this deal? He doesn't want to come. So they can't do that we would try to be ambitious, but we didn't get him. Because a lot of people said you shouldn't be going for that sort of player anyway. And we shouldn't have gone for that sort of player. Apart from the fact that Ten Hag wants him. If Chelsea offer more money, as I said before, we can't say we didn't want to overpay because you're not overpaying. £70 million for de Jong is a bargain. £80 million is a little bit cheap. £90 million is probably what he's worth. So there's no way Chelsea will pay more than 90. So you can't say that you didn't want to overpay. I mean, the budget. You know, for me, I'm not convinced United have a budget. I've said this all along. Move away from Frenkie de Jong. I'm not convinced United have a very big budget. We can see Arsenal spend over 100 million, Spurs over 100 million, Chelsea are going to go over 200 million. But I'm not convinced we've got a very big budget. I think United back in May thought they would spend about 170 million this summer, but they thought they'd generate about 80 million in sales. They've generated 10 million in sales and spent 55 net. It's worrying. Alan, thank you very much and welcome to Members Club. Journo's media claim Ten Hag burdened by Ronaldo circus, which they are relentlessly pushing. Also, Neville allows Carragher to stir up trouble, says Philippe. You know the Ronaldo circus? Who generates the circus? The media. How many questions did they ask of Ten Hag yesterday that he didn't want to answer about Ronaldo? 5. The only Ronaldo circus is the media. I don't even think United fans talk about Ronaldo that much. They talk about whether he should play up front, but I don't think United fans talk about Ronaldo much in relation to the circus. It's the media. So I swear a month ago you were saying we shouldn't bid over 60 million for de Jong. Now we can't overpay enough, says Duncan. Things changed, Duncan. That was back in May. We're into the first week of August and the transfer window closes in 3 weeks, Duncan. It's either de Jong or nothing. It's not. If I was negotiating, I would have got this deal done in mid-June or I would have walked away. United are here in August. I don't negotiate. The reason I probably said 60 million a couple of months ago is because that was a stronger position. We're now up a creek without a paddle. And, you've got to pay what you pay or you miss out. Ronaldo missed pre-season because he had family issues. What makes one think he wants to leave? He didn't go on any strike. This requires clarification, says Pranay. Maybe missing out on Frenkie de Jong is a blessing in disguise. It could be the kick up the backside the fan base needs to unite against the Glazers, says Kieran. The fact that another United manager also cannot see we have midfield issues is very worrying. Let's be honest, it's another season we'll be overrun, says Dan. And apparently Ten Hag wants Gakpo now. I've not heard much about him. What's your opinion on him? Popped up on my Twitter feed, says Brandon. We'll get linked to all sorts of people now. We will get linked to a lot of people, but I think he's right-footed for a start, and we need a left-footer. And I don't know loads about him, but I think he's a left-footer, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. with that. I'll tell you what, there has been a lot of talk about over the last... I mean, I find it very boring, but I'll bring it into the news show. The fact that Carragher even said yesterday on live TV as pundits they want Ronaldo to stay because he generates headlines says a lot about their opinions, says Dan Watson. Mate, look, Carragher's, Gary Neville's, everybody else, they're just you with a football career. Like, just because they know how to play centre-back and win a Champions League or a Premier League doesn't mean that their opinion on people is any better than you. And sometimes it's worse because they've spent most of their life living in a bubble with people wiping their arse, telling them how great they are. I don't trust an ex-player's football opinion on transfers and people and personality any more than I trust yours. Their opinions are no better. They get these platforms because as footballers, they were very, very talented. But where's the talent of a footballer? Mainly in their feet. How many thick footballers do you know? You listen to them all the time. I don't think their opinion... If they're talking about the way the game's being played and movement and marking a player, I think that's where their specialism comes in. But when they're speculating on what transfers to sign, this, that and the other, how many of these top players have been a failure as a manager? Their opinion is no better than yours. And in fact, sometimes I think you could wipe your arse on their opinion. It's toilet paper. It's the same as me, same as you. They don't have any credibility any more than you when it comes to giving an opinion on who should be sold, who should be bought, and they've all got their own agendas, as is everybody. Any news on Sesko, says Summer Heat? No. United are interested, but there's a bit of a battle going on for him. Jack says, I love you, Mark, but you say we need to unite to get owners, but you don't want to be the one to unite us, which is part of the problem. Jack, I can't unite people. Like, I've got a show tonight at 7:30 on TalkSport, national radio, talking about the weekend's football. It won't be much about United. There will be a United section. I'm sure somebody will phone in about United, and maybe one of you will phone in. Mainly, it's going to be about in general football. When that gets tweeted out by me later on to call in, I'll get replies from United fans saying, you don't represent me, you Forest fan, and all this, that, and the other. I can't unite the fan base. I don't know who can. So it's not that I know what needs to be done. I can't do it because this fan base is toxic. Adam off the United stand, home and away games, born in Manchester, very clearly got a Manchester accent, was on Sky Sports 2 weeks ago. The replies, he doesn't represent me. Who is this? He doesn't represent me. Well, he's from Manchester. He goes to every game home and away. I mean, I just don't... This is the problem with some people in our fan base. There is literally resentment towards anything. And we will never succeed. We will the reason we are stuck with the Glazers is because we as a fan base tolerate it. Because we'd rather argue with each other. Look at this week. Look at this week as an example. The season starts tomorrow. We've got no midfielder brought in. The attack is weak. What have United fans spent this week arguing about? Ronaldo leaving early. Ronaldo leaving early. That's what this week's been about. Not that we've not bought a bloody midfielder in 3 months. Not that our attack is weak. No, let's argue about Ronaldo leaving early from a pre-season game where you only got half the story as well. It's why the Glazers win. They must have loved it this week. Oh, look at them all arguing about Ronaldo leaving early. We're getting away with it again. We took 11 million a month ago, and they're arguing about Ronaldo leaving early. This is it. This is it. Anyway, let's talk about the right back situation because there's a few stories coming out about the right back. Again, I think that to a lesser degree, this is another area where Ten Hag has not been backed. Aaron Wan-Bissaka in no shape or form is what Ten Hag wants. He's not the sort of fullback that Ten Hag wants, but they can't offload him. He'd love Dumfries, but there's no money to buy Dumfries. So they're now talking about potentially using Brandon Williams at right back because he's right-footed. It's just another example of I can't remember who said it. I should have wrote it down at the time. Somebody in the chat said, right at the start of the summer transfer window, my big fear with Ten Hag is he's simply been brought in as our only major signing to get more out of what we've already got. And that's his job. He's not here to sell 10 players and buy 10 players. He's not here to sell 5 players and buy 5 players. He's here solely to coach the players from last year into a higher position. That's his job. And as things stand at the moment, look at the team that we're going to pick tomorrow, that's exactly what's going to happen. Ten Hag is picking the same players tomorrow that we had last year at the start of a new season. I never thought that would happen. I'm sure many of you didn't, but a few people did clock it. They said, why is Ten Hag sitting in his first press conference saying we finished second a year ago, there's a lot of potential in this team? That second we finished under Solskjaer is the biggest fraud act I've ever seen. It was completely unrepresentative of where we were as a team. We were not anywhere near title contenders, and we couldn't keep hold of it as soon as football started again. That was a complete and utter blip. That second place was jammy. It should have been sponsored by Hartley's. It was jam on toast. And we got nowhere near it last season because we were nowhere near the second best team in England. The fact that Ten Hag was talking about that shows you, in hindsight, the hints. It was the biggest hint we had that we finished second a year ago, there's a lot of potential here. His job is to get more out of what we've got. You know, Rashford could have been sold last year. I love Rashford as a player, but he should have been sold last year. Bruno shouldn't have got a new contract. I love Bruno. There's two examples straight away of what we're doing. Rashford could have been kicked out on his arse and nobody would have complained about it. He was terrible last year. He's now the focal point superstar again. Bruno gets a massive new contract. He was terrible at the end of last year. He's now a focal point superstar again. Maguire retains the captaincy. The worst season we've ever had in the Premier League, and the captain keeps it with no challenge. I'm not saying these are wrong decisions, but I'm saying what they do hint at is that the brief for Ten Hag is to get more out of the players from last year. The brief is not to break that team up and build a new team. Fuck no. I'd argue that with anybody. If you think that Ten Hag's job was to tear that team apart and build a new one, where's the evidence of that? Same captain, same players. It's just trying to get more out of them. Which is why Rangnick's not here anymore, by the way, because Rangnick openly said you need to bring 10 players in and you need to get rid of a lot of players. And I think most of us, whether you like Rangnick or not, expected that. That's what we logically thought. That team needs breaking up and rebuilding. We're not rebuilding that team. We're not breaking that team up. I mean, I'm almost having a moment of clarity here. Like, at the end of last season, I was convinced we were going to break that team down and start it and rebuild it. We've not done that. We've not torn that team down at all. It's the same bloody players. We've basically got a new coach in and said, Solskjaer did shit with this lot. Hopefully you can do better. And then we're back with something I detest. Basically, you're getting a manager to try and build a Premier League winning picture with everybody else's bits of the jigsaw. He's got Mourinho's bits, he's got Van Gaal's bits, he's got Ollie's bits. And he's hardly got any bits of his own. And he's meant to build a picture out of that. Mission impossible. Mission impossible to build a good team with other people's players. Where's his players? And at the moment he's got two. Malacia and Martinez. Because Eriksen, as good as he is, we never would have bought Eriksen if he wasn't free. We wouldn't have paid Brentford 30 million for Eriksen if he was under contract. So at least you have a voice and a platform. If you can hold the 1.4 million of our community together, it's a big strength in itself. We can start in bits, as Akshay. That's not how it works, Akshay. Please stop asking me to lead some fucking United fan base. I won't do it. I can't do it, and it's not going to happen. We'll get behind something that does that, and we've done it before. We've put money into things in the past. We've supported things in the past. But you're talking out your arse if you think United Stand's going to unite the fan base. It would never happen. So there you go. A says, so another no news United Stand show. Okay, A, I'm in this sort of mood now to sit somebody down. So we've had no news for you this morning apparently. Here we go. James Robson, come on down. James Robson talking about Frenkie de Jong, journalist. Gerard Romero, the person who started off the Frenkie de Jong story, journalist. Laurie Whitwell at The Athletic talking about the right back situation, journalist. Laurie Whitwell again talking about the right back situation, journalist. Matt Law, Chelsea journalist, talking about Chelsea being in for that. Does that sit you down enough, eh? Or shall I go through even more stuff we've spoken about on this morning news show that's not regurgitated and is all fresh this morning as the shit you've just shat out your mouth? Anyway, that'll do. This is why I don't like talking about the Glazers, because it just gets me really wound up about what a shit-run club we are and how ill-prepared we are, and how, again, in a couple of hours, I'm going to be doing a watch-along on That's Football for Liverpool and quietly watching and admiring what a well-run club they are and what good football they play. That's what I'm going to be doing in 2 hours. Like last night when I was watching Arsenal, I'm going to watch 2 or 3 teams today that are much better prepared than my team, and I'm going to sit there constantly going, what's the excuse? That's the only thing I would say to you as a United fan. What is the excuse for starting a season with the midfield and attack that we've got threadbare, not enough quality, and they've had 3 months? And the best thing is, we knew we were going to get a new manager this summer in January. What the fuck have we been doing for 6 months? What preparations have we done for 6 months? The new CEO started in February. What's he been doing for 6 months? The season starts tomorrow, Richard. And this is what you're presenting as your first season as CEO. A team made up of Solskjaer's team that's weaker than Solskjaer's team. Like, it's a disgrace. If I was the CEO of this club, I'd be embarrassed about what is going to be on the pitch tomorrow. We'll win tomorrow. I think we'll beat Brentford, and I think we'll have a good start to the season. But a season is 9 months, mate. Spurs won their first 3 games of the season last year with Nuno. He was sacked by the end of October. So anybody who's going to get excited about us winning our first 3 games, just remember that. Nuno won his first 3 games. He was sacked by the end of October. A season is not about August. It's about September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. And we're not prepared for a 9-month season. Very, very, very unprepared. Nobody is predicting top 4 for Manchester United. And that really hurts. It really hurts that Manchester United are not being predicted to be in the top 4 by over 90% of the bloody country and our fan base. Anyway, look, I've said enough. Even on PlayStation, it's difficult to sign De Jong, says Mikael Roach. And Mark, I fancy my Hammers to finish above United this season, says Jimmy. West Ham are a well-run club. I don't know what sort of season West Ham are going to have. I think keeping Declan Rice is a real positive. Anyway, thanks everyone who's been watching. Please smash a like on the video. Get your comments in below. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. I'm on That's Football at 12:30 for the Liverpool-Fulham game, and I'm also doing the 3 o'clock game. So if you want to join in with me this afternoon for the Premier League action, I'm sure we'll be talking more about United. It's a long stream. I'll be on That's Football from 12:30 today, all the way through till about 5 o'clock. So tune in for that. We'll have live score updates, everything like that for you. And then I'm on Talk Sport at 7:30 tonight. I've got a new show, Call Goldbridge. I'm calling it that. You can call in, get involved on the day's action. So looking forward to that. It should be streaming live on YouTube as well. And we'll have the normal content for you on the United Stand. So lots to get involved in. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. In fact, we're very close to 405,000. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Take care, everybody. Take a deep breath. And yeah, try not to get too frustrated. It is frustrating at the moment. It really is. Speak to you in a bit. At least we play tomorrow. At least that's a bit of a distraction. And I think we will.